last week, you guys voted on what we're going to play for episode 3 of Retrograde, which is Condemned Criminal Origins, by the way, if you guys want to get the game
I didn't see the results yet.
And play for yourself. Now, here's the thing. I have not yet played Condemned Criminal Origins, but I did buy the game, and in the process of buying the game, Nick, I had a moment of renegade retrograde where I was like, I can complete my backlog on my own. So I also ended up picking up Split Second, and wow, it's so
nice.
This game is so sick. I mean, so
yeah.
I'd played Split Second before, at friends' houses and stuff. Mainly, I remember playing the crap out of the demo for Split Second, and replaying the part of the map that has the plane crashing down. I thought that was so fucking sick. And you know, I'd like to think over the last, I actually don't know how long a game's been out, but I'll say 20 years. The last 20 years, I'd like to think I've matured as a person, Nick. Emotionally, I think, physically I've matured. But boy, seeing that plane come down in this fucking game, I'm still like, this is so badass. It's still just as cool. And so for those of you who don't know, Split Second is a racing game, but the twist is that you are essentially starring, or you're starring in an action show where each kind of level of the game is a different episode. I believe there's like 9 or 10 episodes total, and each episode has a few races that you play through. And as you play through them, the higher you place in a race or a given event, the more points you get, and the more points you get, you more better cars you unlock and stuff like that. But honestly, it's such a fun racing game, and there's so many things that it absolutely gets right that I'm surprised that we have not seen a sequel for this game. Because one, I think that the visuals by and large hold up. I'm happy to say the check from Gabe, the non-existent check from Gabe cleared. So I have been playing this on the Steam Deck, and it plays really smooth, like right out of the gate. Nothing needed. You just boot up the game and it works. And it looks really nice. It's a little bit, it's not like crisp, but it's enough to say, hey, you know what's happening, and you can still get a sense of scale through it. But
it's definitely a 360 and PS3 era game.
Yeah, visually, absolutely.
So,
and I think it even suffers. The main thing, if I was to give it any kind of drawback at this point, and I've played about a few hours of the game now, the main drawback is that it again, like Nick was saying, it suffers from not just the look of a 360 PS3 game, it's the muted color palette. I think there was a period of time where games were like, we gotta desaturate the fuck out of this thing, this game definitely suffers from it. Even the areas where I'm like, I would love to see the colors pop here. It's a little bit more like tinted to be a death race kind of color tone or whatever. But regardless of that, the cars control so nicely. Like, the drifting in this game is so fun that, like, it makes me, as someone who's absolutely dog shit at drifting, feel like, oh, I'm so cool. Like, I'll flick the end of my car, like, and they'll just graze the edge. I'm like, oh, I planned to do that, not just accidentally. And also, like, the real kind of the big part of the whole twist is that as you're playing, if you do certain cool things such as drifting or jumping, you get these points at the bottom of your screen, and then once you've built them up enough, you can do a power play, and a power play will pop up in front of you as a as a little prompt, and when you click it, it will trigger some sort of event that changes the track. So a thing on the side of the road could explode. It could just be like a helicopter dropping a barrel of explosive barrel. But it could also be like, a tower is collapsing or a whole building gets demolished. And
like a wrecking ball swings through like a road that you're driving on.
I mean, even earlier today, I was playing before the podcast, and there's a moment where, like, someone, and other players, even if they're the NPCs, can also trigger the power plays to you. You can only do it, as far as I understand, to the people that are in front of you. So if you're in first place, you're going to get a lot more kind of thrown at you last second. But I remember, like, I remember like as if it happened over 2 hours ago. essentially it was first and second place. We were neck and neck as we're coming up to the end of the race, and someone behind us triggers the event that Nick was talking about. It's not a wrecking ball, this one, but it was like some sort of construction thing, and it swung out, and I was like, oh shit, this is gonna destroy me, and it just misses me, and then clobbers the guy right on my tail, and the tension of that is so like it feels very racing game. But you're not going to get that same thing in a Need for Speed. You know what I mean? It's a different level. It adds a level of dynamic. I feel like I'm trying to come up with but it's a dynamic thrills that you can't get anywhere else. So like, yeah, it's honestly having so much fun playing Split Second. I haven't played it on a 360 in a long time, so I can't speak for how that is going to be. But just on the Steam Deck, even if you're playing it in 2024, the game still absolutely holds up. It's so much fun to just boot up and sit down on the couch or lay down in bed, or even just plug it into an external monitor with a USB-C and play it on the big screen. It's awesome, and it's not fully off my backlog just yet, but I know that whenever I do cross it off, it's going to be with a big freaking thumbs up and a smiley face right next to it.